but once I get the notification that we are live, we are underway. Ryan, season 2. You excited?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. But it takes a couple seconds for the stream to actually boot up, so I don't want to start the show and it's without recording or anything, and we end up missing it in the upload. So that's the
Yeah,
issue. So we got no
that'd be
guests
kind of
this week.
awkward.
That should even speed up the process even more.
Yeah.
Okay, so it does say we are live here. We are 30 seconds in. As soon as I can see that we got anybody in here. I'm going to full screen this. And we can go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm going to run the intro, and we will be good to go right after that.
Okay.
Beathard sets up deep in the pocket. Goes down the field for Smith. Touchdown! 85 yards for Dow. Still running. Touchdown, Oregon. 77 yards.
Ezekiel Elliott. And he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him? No, they can't. Touchdown.
All right, and with that, we are here in season 2 of the Drop the Gloves podcast. Just want to say welcome everybody to season 2. Ryan, how's it going, brother?
Good to be back with you. Excited for the season.
Yeah, me too. We're gonna have a great college football season. We already got some big games coming up for week 1. We got 6 people in here to start out. How's everybody doing today? Let's start the show. So just really appreciate everybody stopping by. And we're going to go ahead and get started, which the first thing is I got the rankings. Your favorite things. I only put the top 10 in here. With yours in the AP, Ryan, I didn't put mine in here yet. But pretty similar. There's only one thing I wanted to point out that you had a little bit different. Utah, not in your top 10.
Yeah, about that. Well, you know, it, first of all, just don't lie to themselves. There's that. But there's also, I mean, when are they good in consecutive years? Doesn't seem like it happens.
Yeah.
I know they lost some pretty good players. I mean, obviously, I think their quarterback is back, obviously, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see him. I mean, I don't want to see him, but I would like to see him be good in consecutive years before.
Yeah, and they got a good shot to prove it week 1 going to the Swamp. I'm interested to see that game. Also, notice you have A&M in the top 4 to start. Yogi Smalls, thank you for the Tier 1 subscription to the show, man. As we just surpassed 8 people in here, Ryan. The Tier 1 subscriptions, we are greatly appreciated. That goes straight to the show, straight to us. So Utah not being in the top 10 for you, I understand. I went ahead and put the AP and noticed that they had Oregon at 11. You have them a little bit higher at 9. Everything else seems to be right on track with them. Top 3 is the exact same. But you flipped Clemson and Notre Dame, which they're going to meet down the line. Yes, we are talking about Utah right now. I really like Utah, this Utah team. But I mean, I don't like them as a fan-wise, but watching them play last year against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl was really good. Their offense was really good, but then again, Ohio State's defense wasn't all that. But who knows if they could carry it over there. They should be in for a good one week 1, no matter how bad Florida was last year, going with a fresh slate. playing week one at home, I think they'll come out a little bit different with a new coach and Coach Napier. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing, Ryan, because we're going to not rush through this, but this isn't going to be one of our longer shows. So next thing we got is the Heisman hopefuls. We only put 3 on here. Mine and yours a little bit different. So to start yours off, you have Caleb Williams from USC, the transfer, and so you have Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud, and Bijan Robinson. So do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, probably the thing that sticks out is I don't have Bryce Young in there, but that's only because I just don't see a back-to-back Heisman winner. It's nothing to do with him. I think he's great. Um, as far as the guys that I have, I think Williams is the most probably dynamic quarterback
Sure.
in the country, and uh, Stroud maybe the most uh, accurate. I mean, he wasn't very accurate to start last year, but he got so much better, and um, in a year two, I think he'll be even better, and that he has a great receiver, uh, great running back. So I actually think JSN
Yep.
could get into the Heisman talk, but I kind of just didn't want to put them both in there.
Okay.
And then with Bijan, like I I'm just a huge fan of his. I think he's the best running back in the country, probably.
Okay.
Just, to my eye, he just is a little bit different than everyone else. Has this explosion to him.
Yep. I like Bijan a lot. So my top 3 was a little bit different. So I actually started out with Bryce Young, and as you're 100% right, they don't like to give it to back-to-back players. But the issue for me is like I don't think he has to get knocked off that pedestal first. Like I was talking to Matt the other day, and he made a great point. It's like he's still the reigning Heisman, so I want to give him his credit where it's due. I have Stroud on my list, but I have Will Anderson second, so I have 2 Alabama players there, and I think Will Anderson is the best player in the country. Um, so we just can't. I know it's hard to give it to a defensive player. That's why I threw it week one, where we still have the option to do that. And we have actually comments coming in here. So we got Tim Dollarai with the I don't know. You know how I feel about Utah. They're known for not being good consistently. I agree with Ryan. So that's another thing there. And I want to thank everybody. We're surpassed double digits here in the stream. We're at 10 viewers. And a lot of takes I've seen are the same about Utah. It's just they're not trustworthy, which I think you were saying, Ryan. But when it comes to Heisman, Will Anderson, I think, is the best player in the country, and I think he can have another good season like he did last year. He was ahead of schedule, but will they give it to somebody on defense? I would say not. We both had
Man, that
Stroud
would
on the
be
list.
really cool, but
Yeah,
I feel like, I mean, maybe what's his Case Young? He was probably the closest, right? As
yeah.
far as
It was just
defensive
unfortunate for
players.
him. He had his season the same year Burrow had his crazy.
Right, yeah.
And then they threw Aiden Hutchinson in there last year, um, from
Right, yeah,
Michigan.
that's true. But it seemed like Case Young was the guy that, I mean, it felt like he had an actual chance.
Yeah,
Hutchinson never really felt like you know what I mean? He was kind
right.
of an
Yeah, I agree.
honorary guy. But
100%. 100% agree with you. And
uh,
these will all change, I'm sure. It's funny to look back at our week one podcast from last year because we had guys like DJ Ugile and Spencer
that
Rattler
guy,
in there, and it's like,
dude, Ukulele or whatever, he was a he let everyone down. Like
He really let you down because you were really high on him after
he's
Notre
he,
Dame beat Clemson.
he's
Remember that?
probably he's probably gonna. Yeah, I do. He's probably gonna let me down again this year. But we'll get to that.
Yeah. Um, so who knows? These could change. I think these are less likely to change than last year. But moving on, we're getting more
Yeah,
comments. Evan Prater for Heisman, the new Cincinnati quarterback. Not sure how serious that is. But then we got Yogi Smalls with Will Anderson and Noah Sewell are my top two defensive players going into this year. I could also agree with
dude,
that.
let's go.
And now we got our
My
college
favorite
football
player.
playoff prediction. Noah Sewell's your favorite player? Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I wanted to ask you, like, um who do you hold as like the favorite for the Heisman?
So I ranked them in the order I had Bryce Young at number one right now.
So you
This
do,
is
okay.
yeah, this is going to be a fluctuating list just like last year, but I think until games have been played, the reigning Heisman has the Heisman. I know they
Just
really don't like to give it to somebody two times, but I mean,
I,
who knows?
I
What if? I'm sorry.
I was gonna put Williams. Like I thought he was my favorite
Yeah.
for like months, but I've been thinking about it today, and I think I might change to Stroud
Okay.
because I guess I feel like USC in general is gonna be good, but I feel like they're a year or two maybe away from being great, like playoff caliber.
Yeah.
So I feel like Stroud is just a safer pick.
Stroud's actually the betting favorite to win the Heisman right now.
Is
Um,
he? Okay, I hadn't
yeah.
looked at it, but
And more comments from Yogi Smalls. Ryan's an Oregon guy, isn't he? I think I found my new. I think I found a new friend. So
heck yeah.
yeah. So Stroud's the betting favorite. Caleb Williams and USC to me, not on the same level as like an NFL team here, but they kind of remind me of like, let's say I use an NBA term here. They remind me of a LeBron team, which is weird because college football doesn't have them often. See if you could follow along here with what I'm saying. They're a team that's all these transfers remind me of a lot of free agents coming and putting it in instead of growing through the draft and doing stuff like that. Where there's a chance that USC could come out this year and they have Jordan Addison from Pitt and they have Caleb Williams and they could be really good with Lincoln Riley, but I think you I think you're right. I think it'll take a couple years for them to really hit their stride. Um, they've definitely fallen
Yeah,
off from what they used to be. But with that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if USC was really good this year.
from what I've heard, their offensive line is just lagging behind a little bit, but as far as skill position, I mean they also got uh my guy Travis Dye,
Oh yeah, they
who's
did get Die. I forgot about that. Oh,
but
that's tough. I liked Die a lot last year. Not as much as
yeah,
Verdell, but I did like Die.
yeah, he was Verdell got hurt. He was kind of like bell cow for
Right.
most of the year. He's a good player. So most, I mean, yeah, like you make a point, like everyone pretty much there who's a star player is a transfer, and even Lincoln Riley is new. So
Right. Yeah. And that's what I heard so too. And we're getting some comments coming in here. This is what we like to do. This is like the feedback where we like to read the comments and answer. USC is 1 to 2 recruiting classes away from being top tier again. Their O line and D line are very suspicious. From what I've seen, that's the
accurate.
same thing, and I think that's exactly what along the lines of what Ryan's saying. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win a decent amount of games this year, just off of how good their skill positions are. And moving on to our college football playoff prediction, we went over this. You know, I threw one in here just to spice it up. So there's a couple I wanted to bring up here. So Ryan, you have Alabama. I put it in order the way that you gave it to me, so I thought that was the order, which I guess that doesn't really matter if you're for or you're in. Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, which that's betting favorites right there. And then you
I'm
have
going out on a limb here, guys.
Now, mine, I wanted to spice it up a little bit, right? So I got Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia. And here's my reasoning, though, for having Ohio State 1 before everybody calls me biased. I think Ohio State's going to be 1 because I think Alabama and Georgia meet in the SEC championship and they could have a loss where I think Ohio State has a better chance at using an undefeated season and beating a team that's weaker from the Big Ten West, where I think Alabama and Georgia could give each other that loss. That's why I have them ahead. And 4, I put Utah in there. I'm not really super confident about that. That's more of a, I don't want to just put the same thing as Ryan, and trust me, I will never put A&M in there, no matter what. So this is banking on Utah winning the Pac-12 and doing good, but I'm rooting for Oregon.
You have Utah in the playoff?
Yeah, that's probably going to come back to bite me. So we also got some more comments coming in here. Jeff Clifton with, I got Ohio State, Alabama, Utah, and Clemson, so he doesn't have Georgia going back. And then Yogi Smalls with the USC is the Brooklyn Nets of college football, I think. That's not a bad take. It's a good analogy.
That's a great take.
Yeah. And then I also wanted to bring up, I have them pulled up here. I didn't put them on the slideshow, Ryan, but the College Game Day hosts put their top 4 in for who their predictions were, and I just wanted to get your idea on that. So first off, we'll start out with Lee Corso, okay? His 4 teams with the national championship and national champion. He has number 1, Alabama versus number 4, Utah, 2, Georgia versus 3, Ohio State, and Ohio State beating Alabama in the national championship. Kirk Herbstreit with Ohio State versus Georgia and Alabama versus Baylor, and Ohio State over Alabama in the national championship. And then we have David Pollock with Ohio State, Alabama. No, I'm sorry. Ohio State, Alabama. Where did that one go? Sorry. I have the article pulled up. I apologize. So he actually left off Georgia. And his 4 he has are Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, and Utah. So 3 of them actually have Utah. But that's not the take. That's
very
not
uncomfortable.
Making you very uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to be... Now, here's Desmond Howard's serious playoff bracket here. And I'm not just saying this because this guy's a Michigan guy, but, like, he's serious with this.
Yeah.
His 4 teams, he has Michigan, Baylor, Texas A&M, and Pittsburgh.
It's going to be in the freezing cold take.
I think it could be a freezing cold take when all 4 of them are not in the playoff.
Dude, I could see if you want to go with like one of those teams, but like Pittsburgh. I mean, they lost some.
They lost Pickett and Addison.
Yeah.
And now we're getting Jeff Clifton, Fatty Patty, and Yogi Smalls all with new comments here, Ryan. We got Utah honestly has a really good offense. They need to show defense because of how many players they lost. Then Yogi Smalls comes back with the Utah lost a very crucial player, not only for offense but special teams, Britton Covey. He actually tore it up in the Rose Bowl last year. I remember that. And then we got Fatty Patty with Desmond Howard with the bruh moment. I'll agree with that. I don't know what he's thinking, but... Oh, I guess I don't seem that crazy for putting Utah in there. Maybe they're higher on them, but I wouldn't be too nervous about it, Ryan, when you have other analysts picking that. And now I want to go into some controversy here, Ryan. We got a couple things here that are right in the face of college football this weekend, and this is a new thing I want to do. There's going to be new news coming up around each game, each week, and this is the special slide this week that's a little bit different. You know how we usually try to do one segment that's a little bit different. And the first thing I want to talk about is Oregon and Georgia is not a fair neutral site game at all. So I'll go ahead and go over the details of this. First off, can we talk about a neutral site game for Georgia and Oregon being played in Atlanta, Georgia? How does that make sense? That is a home game to me. I'm not counting that as a neutral site. It's in Atlanta, and there's also this. Not only will Oregon receive $500,000 less than Georgia for its involvement in the neutral site game, Georgia was allotted over $5.5 million more in tickets to sell, which means they were given 43,000 total tickets to sell to Oregon's 6,052. And it's not even just the fact that they have over 35,000 more tickets. When you're at a game and you go to the lower level and the upper level, the lower level closer to the field and all that, Georgia received 10,000 more tickets than Oregon just in the lower section. And then in the mezzanine, which is the middle section, Georgia also was asked to sell an additional 7,500 tickets. And this is just utter blasphemy here, and not to be that guy, but this does not surprise me from an SEC team to be pulling this neutral site game early in the year, and it's not really at a neutral site. Play a true road game. Non-conference, it's way more respectable. Even make it 50-50, that's more respectable. This is Bush League.
Well, yeah, I hear you. I'm hoping that all the voters and the polls and everything, like, I think they will understand that it's not really a neutral game. You know what I mean? But still,
It's more not
to
fair.
go into their house. It'd be better.
Yeah, I mean it's basically the same. I mean that's like saying like, hey, I would rather meet in the middle, or do what I mean, something like that. Have them play in Chicago or something. Do something. Not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess they get. So Georgia gets that tip of the hat. I mean, and Yogi Smalls with nope. Georgia was scared to come out west for a home and home series, so this is what we got. I will always respect the teams that play a tough non-conference game. Georgia playing with Oregon is good, but play a home and home, which is eventually what's coming and being forced into college football, which Ryan knows. I've been praying for that for so long. I've been saying that for so long, and it's finally coming to fruition. But these games aren't what they seem, and to the casual, that's not, Georgia and Oregon playing at a neutral site. So how is it? How can you even call it a neutral site? You know what I mean? Like, how can you even say that? And
it's not a neutral site. It's neutral.
Technically, it is, which is sad because this is what Alabama did each year, and it's just unfortunate.
But I mean, what does neutral mean? Like, is it just that it's either at University of Georgia or University of Oregon, or is it like it should mean it's like equal? Like.
Yeah, when I think
no
of
one
neutral
has an
site,
advantage.
like by the definition, it would be 50-50. Nobody has an advantage, is what I would think of it.
Exactly, so it's not really neutral from that standpoint.
Which is sad because this is the actual article. It says it's a non-conference neutral site game paid out by a third party, which that's not the case. But
yeah,
Oregon's even got more to play for here. We'll get more into this game coming up here in just a couple minutes. But moving on to the other controversy here. Malik Zaire, Ryan, former Notre Dame quarterback, comes out and starts bashing the Big Ten, some would say bashing Ohio State, some would say not. The tweet that is pulled up on the screen is the second one I want to talk about. The first one is one that was simply put in earlier, and he goes, the Big Ten right now is garbage. The only team that looks forward to competing for a national championship is Ohio State. Every other team plans their season in hopes of beating Ohio State for the Big Ten championship. Case in point why Ohio State is uninteresting to watch week to week. So the only thing I had to say is, like, doesn't every conference have that team that they try to do that? So why is it only against the Big Ten? I mean, look at the ACC. Does every team not play their season to beat Clemson?
Well, I I think the Big Ten is actually the probably least make that argument for me. It's gonna be the deepest, most like well-rounded conference, whereas like the SEC, I mean, they may have like a couple like that, but it's very top heavy. The
Right.
ACC, super like Clemson be that team, or often maybe in the Big 12 it was Oklahoma, So yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know how much I like that take either. Um, and then now, this is the tweet I have here up on the screen. He goes and says this, Ryan. I'm not sure if I sent it to you. Talking about Notre Dame. All the blah, blah, blah is nice. But if C.J. Stroud doesn't play perfect, what chance does Ohio State really have? We don't need to play perfect to win because we have a better front seven and offensive line. Facts.
Freezing cold takes. Yeah.
Freezing cold takes. I mean, this is being serious. He got called out on the tweet and says, somebody says, you're just trying to get the Ohio State fans to respond. This is a bad take, but totally understand, totally get it. Says, you're trolling because you know Ohio State fans will respond. Well played. But this is still a trash take. And he responds with, outside of Ohio State, who in the Big Ten is mentioned as a college football playoff team, even as a potential? LMAO, Michigan. So I don't know what he's saying there, like what his deep hatred is, but it's definitely there. And
Well, I don't get it. It's like he's saying Notre Dame. He's saying Notre Dame's better, right?
yeah,
But then he's saying Ohio State's like a playoff contender.
yeah, and I don't. So he contradicts himself because somebody commented and said,
Yeah.
so then stay true to your beliefs and don't watch the game this Saturday if Ohio State's uninteresting. What's the point? Right? Won't be interesting, will it? And he comments back and says, it is because Notre Dame's bringing the show, like I said in the original tweet. Okay.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. So I do have a question for you, though, Ryan. This is going to be a little bit off topic here. No, just step back from podcast host and step into as fan. And I just have to ask you, what does Notre Dame and marijuana have in common?
Um, Tell me.
They both get smoked in bowls. Okay, we're moving on to the next one.
Uh,
So we're going to go ahead and go to the pick'em now. So this is actually going to be the last slide. But got a few games to pick here. Everybody, join our pick'em. Leave a comment below, and we will add you. I have a public pick'em for the Drop the Gloves podcast, and it starts tomorrow. Join. You can join in a couple days late if you really want to, if you're viewing on YouTube. But we got 7 games here on the slate to pick this week, and we will keep track of the picks. If you're doing better than us, you'll see your name up on the podcast each week. We keep track, and the updated standings will be posted here on the side every week here for the Drop the Gloves podcast, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the betting lines here a little bit, what we like to cover, what we don't. So we're going to go ahead through the 7 games, and I didn't want to do, the Utah State-Alabama game where they're favored by 45.5, and we already know who's going to win the game. So I will go ahead and post the link. Oh, you like that joke, Yogi Smalls? Like that. And Fatty Patty, I'll go ahead and send you the link personally. We'll start out here with the games tomorrow. We have 2 of them, Ryan. 2 Thursday night games, right? 7 and 8 o'clock, one on ESPN, one on Fox. the backyard brawl tomorrow. West Virginia at Pitt. Pitt is 17th ranked in the country. They're getting they're they're favored by 7.5 in the over under of 51.5. Who are you liking in this game?
I mean, I I don't know. I mean, I guess Desmond's Desmond Pitt. I mean, gotta roll with them. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like they lost some. I mean, they lost two like great players. I mean,
Yep.
I know he did West Virginia in that one. I mean, I feel like he's still a pretty good player. Um, how do you think how do you think he'll do there?
I'm picking West Virginia to upset in the first game. That's how I
I could
feel.
see it. I mean,
Seven and a
yeah,
half is also steep for this. I mean, I get it's a rivalry game. Pitt's at home, but like you said, losing Pickett, losing Addison, we don't. Pitt's a question mark for me. Obviously, Desmond Howard's super high on the, but I think they get upset this week, and that's going to be my first pick. That's a little bit different. I'm taking West Virginia upset the 7.5 point favorite. I also see the over hitting in this game. It's 51.5. It's going to be the first game of college football season, regular season for week one. I think they're, usual beginning of the year stuff where people aren't used to playing whole games, so the tackling could be off here and there. It's going to be all the hype. They already know tons of people are going to be watching because it's the only game on ESPN, and there's only two really good games on tomorrow. I'm going to take the Mountaineers, though, to upset. I think Pitt's getting a little bit too much hype, and I could be completely wrong, but these are the hardest games to pick early in the season because you don't know how good everybody is. Pitt could be the number one team in the country this year. We have no idea. Moving on to the
well,
8 o'clock slot tomorrow, Ryan.
yeah.
Interesting game coming out of the Big Ten tomorrow on Fox at 8 o'clock. This one, I think, could be a little bit better than the. Both those games are pretty even. Zero ranked teams in this one, but Penn State at Purdue tomorrow night. Penn State is favored by 3.5. They're over under 53.5. But Penn State at Purdue, 3.5 for Penn State. I think that's kind of tough. Clifford going there.
I mean, Penn State, like usually they're better. I mean, usually they're kind of in the rankings. I mean, you probably know better than me. Why do you think they fallen out?
I have no idea. That's my thing about it. I think Penn State's a very good team. Um, they they kind of lost some games last year that you could say are due to injury. The Iowa game for sure was due to injury. I still believe firmly in that. I think Penn State should have been ranked, and from what I saw, I've seen a lot of people say Penn State got snubbed, and also saying that they could hop into the rankings with this win. They were right outside. Um, so, I mean, I got Purdue at home is always kind of a weird team to pick against because they like to upset teams.
Yeah,
I've seen it before when my team not good. But I wouldn't be too surprised if Purdue wins this game. Purdue was also a team that was in the rankings last year. Purdue won their bowl game over Tennessee, who a lot of people are very high on Tennessee. I'm not super high on Clifford either, Yogi. I think he's not great. I don't think he's bad, but I don't know. He's got experience. He's been there long enough to where I don't know. I got a feeling Penn State wins this game because they really, if they want to compete in the East, they can't lose games like this year. That's how I see. So I'm taking Penn State. Give me Penn State to cover. I think they win by 6. That's going to be my prediction. I think it's going to be somewhere around there. Ryan, what are you feeling?
I think that's pretty accurate. That sounds about right to me. I mean, Clifford, I mean, he's not the most exciting player. I mean, I don't know, you know, no one's probably high on him exactly, but I mean, he's a good player. He's been there for, he's, got to be probably a senior by then, isn't he?
I would think so. He's from St. Xavier here by us. I remember seeing him play in high school. So I know that
Yeah, I
it's got to
mean,
be a
he's
while.
got a lot of experience. I mean, so you would think that's an advantage for Penn State as opposed to, an unknown at
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, the Saturday slate now, there's 4 games I have on here. And I'm very upset at ESPN and the schedule making because you could have easily done 12, 3:30, 7, probably not 9:30, but 12, 3:30, 7, 7:30, or 8:30, one of those two. But instead, you give us 2 ranked games at the same time Saturday at 3:30, which I get Oregon playing at 3:30 because they're a Pac-12 West team, but Cincinnati and Arkansas could have played at noon.
And what time is your game?
7:30 East.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so we got the night game. But we'll go on to our next game here, which is Oregon at Georgia. Georgia, a 17-point favorite at home with over under a 53. I'll let you go into more depth on Oregon, so I'll just go ahead and say my piece and then let you go in. I like Oregon to easily cover the spread. I expect this to be a one-score game. I'm not a huge Georgia quarterback fan. Georgia definitely is still going to reload. They got a lot of talent. But I don't expect Georgia to be the same team they were last year. First off, I wasn't super high on Georgia throughout the year last year because their strength of schedule was getting bolstered by ranked wins for teams that weren't in the rankings anymore. But playing Oregon at home, this is very reminiscent to last year. And does Bo Nix go in?
He's used to playing in the SEC. This is going to be a different look Ducks team this year, no matter if you think it's good or bad. With new coach Dan Lanning coming over right after coaching at Georgia, so he's going to know some more of what they have. And Bo Nix at quarterback, who has been probably the best quarterback threat since Herbert, I would say. I mean, I'm not a giant Bo Nix guy, but I wasn't super impressed with Oregon's quarterback last year. It's more their run game. Um, I think Oregon could potentially have the better quarterback play in this game. How good and how reloaded is Georgia? That's why I'm a little, Georgia won the national championship last year. Everybody's high on Alabama and Ohio State, and I understand that more because they didn't lose as much. They were a lot younger teams. 17 points. If this was away, I think that line changes. 17 points is too much. I think Oregon covers in this game easily. I think this is a one-score game and could go either way. I'm going to, I guess, lean towards the home team. I'm rooting for Oregon in this game. I want them to go ahead and win. That would be fantastic. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But I think people might still think this is the exact same Georgia team as last year. Jordan Davis isn't on this team, which, like I said, I think they reloaded with a lot of talent, but I don't think this is going to be the same Georgia team, which is why they already dropped the 3. Give me Oregon to cover. I guess Georgia to win close, which I really don't want to pick that, but that's what my mind's saying. And we got Yogi with the, if we limit Bowers, I think we have a shot, but we need Nix to play perfect. And Ryan, I'll go ahead and let you take it away.
Well, I certainly hope you're right. And you're starting to give me some hope there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm pretty nervous about this one. I mean, 17 does seem high. Uh, I, we have entire staff pretty much, and so I just, I mean, your first game as a head coach. I mean, we don't even get a cupcake to warm up or anything. I mean, this is into the fire, and it's just like
Yeah, right to the belly of the beast.
I mean, if we still had Cristobal, and I would be like, okay, we had a huge win at Ohio State last year. Maybe we can do it again. But it's like when the coaching staff is just an unknown. It just makes me a little. It, and it's the first game, and maybe being the first game is an advantage because Georgia hasn't played either, and
Yeah.
you see it more in the NFL. Like a lot of weird crap happens in week one because it's week one.
Right.
So I guess you could look at it that way. But
Also, you know what you do have on your side here, if you think about it? It's a neutral site game, so at least they won't have a home crowd. Oh,
well, right,
it's
yeah,
tough. That's tough. Oh wait, this is the SEC. We don't play by the rules. Anyway, I like
and
Oregon's chances more in this game than a lot of people I've seen.
and Lanning being from Georgia, I guess that gives us some sort of edge. But um, I don't know. It's a really really tough game. Um, and I think we'll probably hang in there. But I think we could lose by. I mean, one score seems very optimistic to me. I'm thinking, 10, 13 points.
That's still
Um,
not bad. I mean, that's covering the spread. And Yogi comes in with
yeah,
the
I
if
think we could.
Oregon wins, it's because Georgia has a new team. If we lose, it's because Georgia is dominant again. It's like a lose-lose situation. But
Well, I mean, you can say that, I guess, but if we win, we're gonna probably move into the top five. So,
easily, easily, and should.
because what was I mean, Oregon, Ohio State. I think the rankings were similar, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
And
It was 3 and
we
12. I'm pretty
moved
sure.
in, yeah, and then we moved into, yeah, I mean, I think we moved into like three or four. So,
Yeah, Yogi with the yeah, but Kirby also will know Lanning's weaknesses. It's true, but Lanning could also know Kirby's
uh,
weaknesses as well.
well, I feel like more than knowing weaknesses, like Lanning just knows the secrets there. He just
Yeah,
has some inside information, perhaps that could be useful, but um, I suppose it could work both ways. But
Yogi says could win this game and then we will lose to Stanford. LOL.
oh, absolutely. No, we'll lose to freaking like Colorado or something.
Arizona State.
It's always yeah, I feel like it's always like Arizona or Arizona State, like that both of them have ruined our season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as yeah, I don't know. As far as Bro Nix, like he's he should be an upgrade
I was asking. I was
over.
gonna see what you thought about that. Do you feel like it's an upgrade?
I think he's like a better version of Anthony Brown, but um, I mean, I always was iffy on Nix as a passer, but he's made improvements and he's a good runner, and I mean, I think he's probably better than Bennett. Um,
So, quick question, and I mean this honestly.
yeah,
If my memory serves me correctly, didn't Bo Nix like crush Oregon's dreams a couple years ago?
basically, yeah.
Or is that made up? Like, am I just making that up, or did that
No,
happen?
it was his first start.
Yeah.
and they Auburn beat us, but we were winning. We were like, I mean, we were winning most of the game, I believe, and then he had this play. He didn't even play that way. He had this play at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Oh, he's here now, but
And Yogi with the he says Cristobal won't be there to slow down our offense.
Interesting take. Like
yeah, I
Cristobal.
mean, well,
2019.
like I was telling you yesterday, I think like I'm just a big Cristobal fan,
Yeah.
and um, I mean, I won't get into the whole like Oregon history type of stuff right now, but I just think he brought a physical nature, and Oregon did not have that really before Cristobal. Like, it was more of a finesse thing,
Yeah.
and I feel like was he, or I guess too conservative, especially if you look at Herbert,
Yeah.
like how great he is in the NFL.
Yep.
Like, man, maybe we could have seen a bit more from him. He was in Oregon. Um, but so yeah, sure. But I mean, he also like just, I mean, he got us to a great place.
Yeah.
He's a good recruiter for one thing, but the offensive line, that was his position, and he really emphasized that, and you could see that in the Ohio State game. Like, we were able to run effectively.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I get it, but I just think that I mean, you have people who think he was way too conservative. I mean, it's valid to a point, but I just I would have preferred to keep him. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So yeah,
Um. So the other game that's in the exact same time slot, grr, is Cincinnati at Arkansas. 6.5 point favorite for Arkansas. Over under a 52, which is a pretty low one. This is gonna be on ESPN. This is a tough game here. 6.5 for Arkansas at home. Cincinnati still in the rankings. Cincinnati lost a ton. But this is also one of the best recruiting, cycles that Cincinnati's ever had. Arkansas's losses are a little bit less. I mean, they lost Traylon Burks though, so they have KJ Jefferson still. But this game is very hard to kind of dive into the depth of because it's like you don't really know too much for either team of which team is going to be a shell of themselves from last year. I mean, each team lost their best player. Cincinnati lost plenty. I mean, they had the best DB room in the country last year and lost two to the NFL. And then they lost their quarterback, and but is Evan Prater going to be good enough to beat Arkansas? The thing for me is I'm surprised that Cincinnati is getting the points they're getting because that just tells me that they're not super confident at Arkansas. I mean, they're super confident in them to win, but the line's less than a touchdown at home.
but hey, I was wondering, does RJ Young have Arkansas in the playoff? Do you know?
I haven't seen. I have not seen his playoff rankings. There's fakes coming in here, and he says I believe Arkansas is going to smoke Cincy.
Really? I mean, maybe.
Possibly. That's why this game's
I,
like this is a tough one for Cincinnati. If they win this game, though, I mean, with their schedule being so weak, I mean, they could literally. I mean, they don't play a really good team till Houston. After that, they played Indiana, I think. But like, I'm not sure about. I mean, if they
I don't know.
this line is just so close, and the thing Vegas usually knows. They don't have to hit it on the nose, but they're usually pretty close.
I don't know. I mean, this is one that's hard to predict because Cincinnati's like a new team, and you know they have good recruits, right?
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
about to be in the Big 12 next year.
I I think they could win this game, and it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So
You know,
why do you believe Arkansas is
Arkansas.
going to smoke them, Fakes?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to hear the explanation
Because I mean,
behind
Traylon
that.
Burks was a really good receiver, but he's gone. I'm pretty sure he's with the
Yeah,
Titans now. I mean, KJ
yeah,
Jefferson. If I feel like the containment's got to be there for how good Cincinnati's defense was last year. I mean, I get the players might not be the same, but the coaches are mostly the same. I mean, you have Luke Fickle there who just signed an extension
hmm
and everything, so it's like, and these guys were under the guys last year, so I don't think that they're going to be the same team, where they made the playoff last year. But I think that I think that'd be decent at
no,
least at worst. I don't think they're going to be a 4-win team or anything like that.
no. I mean, I think they could still be a ranked team. I mean,
Yeah, they have them at 23 right now.
they are okay. So,
Yeah, they're starting out
I,
at 23. Arkansas's at 19.
so that's pretty even rankings wise. But
So he said Arkansas had a lot of transfers come in, and their biggest transfer, in my opinion, is Jaden Hazelwood from Oklahoma. He is a wide receiver and is very good. I loved watching him play at OU.
he is pretty good. I remember him,
And he
but
transferred to Arkansas? Interesting.
apparently I didn't know Oklahoma lost a lot of guys. That's one reason I had him at 10, but I was like it was for lack of something better. I
Yeah.
I didn't feel good about putting him there, but
I'll go out on a limb here. See, Fakes, that's what I agree with too. They lost their special players. Cincinnati did. Their quarterback, their running back, their defense. But I don't think they would be ranked if they lost enough to where they'd be horrible. So,
or I mean they lost it, but maybe they're replacing it with good
yeah, I
stuff.
mean, this isn't now not to be that guy, but this isn't just like any other group of five team anymore. When you get a resume to where you could say you made the college football playoff compared to the majority of teams who haven't, and you're going to the Big 12, that recruiting is going to be a lot different than a team like Tulane or something. You know what I mean? That's in the same conference where people are going to want to go play for Cincinnati now.
Hmm.
So I will pick
Great.
Cincinnati in this game, just to be that guy. I'm picking the Bearcats to win, actually, which once again, I'm not super confident in. This game's hard to pick. I figure a majority of people will pick Arkansas, so I'll pick Cincinnati to cover and win. 6.5, so that's a touchdown because either way. But
I'll I'll pick Arkansas, but I think Cincinnati probably covers. I
yeah,
think
this
it's a
should be a
close
good
game.
game. And it just stinks, doesn't it, that they have to have it at the exact same time as your game?
Yeah, but mostly I'm just glad that our games are different times.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Go Ducks.
Yeah.
You think, he says, I think if any group of five team has a chance to make the playoff, it would be Houston. Houston is very underrated. I agree with that statement. But I'm not sold that Cincinnati will be a bad team, though. Moving on here to this game. 7 o'clock slot. We have Utah, number 7 Utah, at Florida. Utah's favored by 3 points on the road. Over under 51.5. I'm going to
That's
take Utah to win
impressive.
and cover this game based solely on the fact for my playoff prediction. But also, Florida's got a brand new coach, which you were saying, like, as Oregon, that makes you a little worried. Like, I'll just flat out say it. Florida sucked last year. They were horrible. They gave up 56 points to Samford. Samford. They lost their bowl game. Bad. They lost their rivalry games. Bad. This Florida team is not that good, which this year's Florida team could bounce back. But a 3-point spread, if I'm Utah, I'm disrespected. I lost by 3 in the Rose Bowl last year, won the Pac-12. You're going to give me a bottom feed to middle of the pack SEC team and they only expect me to win by 3? I'd go in here and blow the doors off them. That's how I would think about it if I'm them. They could literally, if this is Florida as last year, if Samford could put up 56 points on them, their quarterback could run for 250 yards on them.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised that it's only a 3. I mean, given the amount of people that have Utah like in the playoff.
Yeah. Now the environment,
3?
I think, is what's giving them the 3. At Florida, the
Yeah,
swamp, clean slate, like I talked about before. You're putting everything behind you from last year. You got a new coach, all that. But I'm not sold Florida is as good as they used to be. This isn't Kyle Trask anymore or anything like that. Like, this team was bad last year. Everybody was really
and
high on them because they played that 2-point game with Alabama. If you look at them the rest of the year, they were not a very good football team.
it is a tough venue, I guess. Um, but I would think it would be more like a touchdown,
Yeah.
uh, odds. But I don't know. I mean, I like the fact he's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, they were so good a couple of years ago with like Kyle Pitts and them. Like, it seems like they haven't really placed those great players. And so, but I don't know. I mean, Florida could be a, a, a decent. I mean, they could be a top 25 team.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that
Um,
either. And I don't mean to sound like a hater when I do this. I'm just not giving teams the benefit of the doubt till they earn it. And that's the biggest problem I have with the
so,
last thing that we're going to talk about. But I want
yeah,
to bring this up to you, Ryan, real quick. Florida last year in November, okay, just the end of November, and then their bowl game. Um, Florida versus South Carolina, right? 40-17 loss. Ouch. Samford Bulldogs versus Florida, 70-52 final score.
that's that's quite
I think the over hit.
a game.
Florida versus Missouri. Missouri wins 24-23. Missouri. Florida beats Florida
Yeah.
State 24-21. Florida State also not a very good football team last year.
Mhm.
Then in the Gasparilla Bowl, Florida plays UCF, Central Florida, from the American Conference and lose by 12, 29-17. Like, this was not a great football team last year.
No, not at all. But
So,
maybe
I
that means they're due.
yeah,
Some of these some of these SEC teams, they're kind of just off and on.
yeah.
Or just
It's weird because as much as I hated on Mississippi State last year, I think they're going to be better than Ole Miss and a lot of teams this year. I mean, they brought back more than anybody on their side besides Alabama. So move on to the next game here. Actually, you didn't give your. Did you agree with the pick or what?
uh, Utah should probably cover. Yeah,
Yeah,
it just
because
seems low.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And the way that Utah played the second half of their season, they had the most momentum of any team in college football last year.
Yeah, that seems like a game I might. I mean, that's probably the bet of the week, I would say.
Yeah. So now we move on to this game, 7:30 p.m. This has been the talk of college football. of everything I've kept up with on ESPN, Get Up, Josh Pate show, everything I've kept up with, this has been the main talk. Ohio State at home favored by 17.5 points against Notre Dame with over under a 59 in a top 5 matchup, and it's a 17.5 point spread. What is going on that the spread is so big? Are they that confident in Ohio State's offense that they think Notre Dame's defense won't stop them? Or are they more confident in Ohio State's defense making improvements to where they'll actually be on the field this year?
I'm pretty sure we talked about this like months ago. I want to say.
Did we?
I think so. It's been I remember you when the line came out, you were all like, it was too high. If I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I still think it's too high. I think Notre Dame covers this game. 17.5 in a top 5 matchup seems like a lot.
It does, but Notre Dame is, I mean, when do they ever hold up against the elite? I mean, they just always get destroyed. And now
Yeah,
they have a new coach.
I like Marcus Freeman, their new coach, a lot. So here's going to be my take that I think people are going to be surprised at here for Ryan. I'll let you go ahead and give yours afterwards and your prediction. I think Ohio State wins this game within 10 points. I think the under hits of 59. It's supposed to rain, so I imagine there's going to be more run than anything. I think Notre Dame plays this game close. Potentially could be leading at halftime. Ohio State comes out, wins by 7 to 10 points. Every article, every news outlet afterwards are going to be talking about Ohio State being overrated. They're not as good as they looked. Notre Dame, how far are they going to drop for playing a close game? I hope I'm wrong. I hope Ohio State covers and completely goes out there and steamrolls them. That's just how I think about it. I think people are thinking too much about just this game from the offseason to where if this game was played last year in the middle of the season, where there's other games going on, I don't think this line is what it is. And I think it's a talking point. And I also think it's Notre Dame fans not betting on Notre Dame because they don't trust them enough. So they're just making the line more and more so people stop betting Ohio State to cover such a big spread. I'm a firm believer that Ohio State is a team good enough to go back to the playoff this year. But a top 5 matchup, I got Notre Dame to cover that. And I got Notre Dame, who's not a pushover team, though. I mean, I get they usually don't win the big one. But 90% of their games, they're favored in. They're the favorite. They are the blue blood. I think Notre Dame, with nothing to lose, their backs are on the wall. All the pressure's on Ohio State for this game. Correct, I would say?
Um, I don't know about all of it.
You get
Certainly
hyped up
most
this
of it.
much, right? You get hyped up this much. You get this big of a spread at home. Now, the outlets, everything, are expecting you to win by this amount. Expecting you not to just win a tough football game. Which they got a new defensive coordinator. Notre Dame has probably the best tight end in the country. My thing is Ohio State's defense going to come out and look different, or are they going to look the same? And Notre Dame's beat writer, shout out to Matt for this one, says if Notre Dame doesn't score a touchdown on the first 2 possessions, the game is over. The game is over.
Um, Seems like a bit of a simplification, but um, scoring touchdowns is always good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, what what's your do you have a prediction?
A score prediction? Mm,
If you don't, but I figure you probably thought about it a lot. So,
I've been thinking about this game. I think the under's going to hit only because it's raining. So if it's not going to rain because it's only Wednesday and it's supposed to rain, I think the over hits. But I'm leaning more towards like it's 23-20. Last drive, Notre Dame's going down right with the ball, and they fumble or have an interception or something. And Ohio State scores a late touchdown to win like 30-20. That's what I picture in my head. I hope I'm completely wrong. I hope Ohio State goes and blows the doors off of them. I honestly do. But that's just how I see it happening. Ohio State in the first game of their year. If you go back the last 5 years where they played a team in a Power 5 conference their first game, last year they played at Minnesota. Do you remember that game by chance? It was a Thursday night, started off. Minnesota led at halftime 14-10. Ohio State came out the doors. The second half ended up winning by about 15 or so. You go back a couple years before that, the opening night, Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State opened up as number 1. Ohio State down at halftime to Indiana. Like it's almost like they got to get their gears going versus these teams, and then they usually come out and win. I could see the same thing happening.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, that was his first start, right?
Yeah, remember me and you were talking about his overthrow.
Yeah. He was overthrowing everyone. Like, it's so fun. Like, he improved. Like, I mean, I have rarely seen that level of improvement in terms of accuracy.
Yeah.
Like, he turned into like Drew Brees by the like the Rose Bowl. It was pretty insane. I mean, I don't know. I think Ohio State rolls.
Ohio State rolls.
Yeah, I think Stroud being my Heisman favorite is going to make an early statement. There's going to punch him in the face. I don't see this. I just don't. Notre Dame, like, nothing against them. I mean, they're a great program and everything, but like I mean, I'm telling you, they just get destroyed in big games. Like,
you don't think this could be a repeat of the Clemson game with DJ?
Yeah, well, but I don't know. I mean, against the elite teams, I mean, they just don't really hold up, do they? So
no. It's some stat that's something crazy. It's like their last 10 bowl games or playoff games they have lost.
And probably by a good amount in most of them.
Yeah.
So and I mean, maybe Freeman is a great coach. Like, I don't know. I have nothing against him, but like he's new. I just,
yeah.
You know me, like new coaches just kind of.
Yeah, he might need to take some time to get into rhythm.
I mean, I feel the same way about planning. Like, your first ever game is against Georgia and Ohio State. Like, that is a full task.
So here's another thing with Notre Dame this year. Notre Dame this year goes to Ohio State. They go to Clemson. And I'm not 100% sure if they go to or they just play, but pretty sure they go to USC as well. All three.
That's a tough schedule. Sure.
The out of conference. Without being in a conference.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, they always play this weird schedule.
Oh, correction. Clemson goes to them. So correct me on that. Clemson goes to them. They go to USC. They also go to BYU this year. And North Carolina.
BYU is in the rankings, so.
Yeah. They had BYU at 25.
Yeah.
But now we got Jackson never broke here. What are we thinking about LSU versus FSU? Well, good segue, Jackson. We'll go ahead and talk about our last game here on the slate. Now, Ryan, this is a Sunday night game. That's 7:30. Florida State at LSU. Give us something to watch each day. We got Thursday. Friday, there's a couple games. They're not super great, but whatever. Saturday, slate good. Sunday night, we got LSU and Florida State at 7:30 p.m. East. LSU favored by 3 points at home, over under of 51.5. Florida State has already won a game. Kings 30 coming in with Notre Dame, loses 3-4 this season. Not too far off. I could see that happening. Freeman's first year. Now LSU at home here. This is Brian Kelly's first game. I do not like Brian Kelly. How's he going to open up against Florida State, another team? Both these teams underperformed last year. Good thing for LSU is their quarterback, who I was super low on, who I think costed them the game against Alabama, is not their quarterback anymore. But that's a question mark, just like with Brian Kelly, new coach, question mark. How's LSU going to turn around without Orgeron or an interim coach? Florida State, this isn't Jameis Winston's Florida State, so my takeaway from this game is this game could really tell me absolutely nothing. Potentially, right? Like LSU favored by 3 at home. You're at Death Valley. You're at a top 5 hardest place to play in the country, and you're playing an unranked team, and you're only favored by 3 points.
Dude, I mean, LSU should cover this pretty easily. For me, I mean,
I agree.
that seems like another pretty juicy line to me.
So you're higher on LSU.
I mean, I'm not high on LSU really, but I think they're. I mean, I I do think Brian Kelly's a great coach.
Boo.
I know you. I know. I mean, he's very much a.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take LSU to win and cover this game as well. I'm not super high on them either, but 3-point spread, I'll take the home team at Death Valley without Florida State, who's not that good. Give me LSU. And thank you, NCAA, for giving us a game on Sunday night, knowing we don't have NFL yet.
Yeah, but yeah, FSU has just been they've been really struggling.
This was a college football playoff team.
Well, ever since I guess Jimbo left, then my Oregon's old coach Taggart went there and didn't pan out.
Yeah,
It's been a rough stretch for him.
yeah. So I think we both are in agreement here, and I think that's gonna wrap it up, Brian. So, next week I already have a couple things planned out, Ryan. If we want to give them a little preview, we're going to talk about which teams got overranked, the results of this game, the issue we have with preseason rankings. Well, issues I have with preseason rankings. Ryan will go ahead and go in whatever he wants, but if he doesn't have an issue, then he doesn't. But that's going to be looking forward to next Saturday. Anybody wants to join the pick'em, go ahead and leave a comment below or reach out to us on YouTube. We're going to be posting this. Drop the Gloves podcast. It's going to be posted on an extra link on Facebook. Anybody, or just comment on the Twitch. I could go back and see it. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. And go Bucks this Saturday. If Ryan wants to say anything, he can. But everybody have a good night.
Yeah, well, yeah, fun to be doing this again. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully, hopefully our teams can win.
Yep.
Oh man, would be a monster win for Oregon. Like, do you think this would be bigger than Ohio State even?
I'd say so, but I mean, I put it on the same magnitude though.
Yeah, definitely similar, but I mean, defending champions,
Yeah, that's the part that gets me. Defending champions.
Yeah.
Yes. Go after the weak quarterback play. I don't think they've had a great quarterback in a long time. That's the hope here. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to Drop the Gloves podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll be back right this next week. Anybody join the Pick'em, wants to talk on the message board, we'll go ahead and answer anything you want. If anybody wants to join the College Football Talk group chat on Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment below. And as always, have a good night. And everybody, make sure you watch your games this weekend. They got plenty to show, and we will see you next week.